You've probably already seen this news, but we waited a bit before making this video. On December 17th, 2025, the bodybuilding world was hit with news no one ever expected to hear. Wang Kun, one of the biggest names in Asian bodybuilding, passed away suddenly at just 30 years old. A young athlete, in peak physical condition, with a solid career and a physique that seemed untouchable. And the question that immediately took over the sport was simple and disturbing. How could this happen? The confirmation came officially from the Anhui Provincial Bodybuilding Association in China. According to the organization, the preliminary cause was a possible heart-related issue. There was no accident, no altercation, no signs of violence. The heart simply stopped. Within hours, the news crossed borders and took over social media, forums, and athlete groups around the world. Bodybuilding, a sport built on strength, control, and pushing past limits, was left in shock. The reaction wasn't limited to China. Pro athletes, fans, coaches, and specialized pages began paying tribute, revisiting his achievements, and expressing disbelief. Phrases like "rest in peace," "champion" flooded timelines, but alongside them came something deeper, a quiet warning. To truly understand the impact of this loss, you first need to understand who Wang Kun was in bodybuilding. He wasn't just another competitive athlete. In China, his name stood for dominance, consistency, and excellence. For many, Wang was simply the greatest bodybuilder of his generation in the country. His journey took on historic weight when he began completely dominating the national scene. Wang won 8 consecutive CBBA National Bodybuilding Championships, something incredibly rare in any federation worldwide. Winning once is hard enough. Holding that level year after year is something only a few ever manage. That level of dominance didn't go unnoticed internationally. In 2022, Wang Kun achieved one of the biggest goals in the sport, earning his IFBB Pro League Pro card. From that moment on, he officially became part of bodybuilding's global elite. What set Wang apart wasn't just his physique, but his consistency. He stepped on stage always conditioned, always prepared, always competitive. No major ups and downs, no off-seasons on stage. His discipline became a benchmark, and his name became synonymous with reliability. In China, Wang Kun wasn't seen only as a champion, but as proof of how far a local athlete could go. He opened doors, raised the level of the sport, and inspired an entire new generation of bodybuilders. When Wang turned pro, he didn't follow the most common path in bodybuilding. Instead of locking himself into a single division, he stood out for something rare even among elite athletes: the ability to compete in 3 different professional categories. That alone put him on a different level. Wang competed in the 212 division, classic physique, and open bodybuilding. Each of these categories demands a completely different type of physique. Body weight limits, muscle volume, density, aesthetics, and even stage presence change drastically. Adapting a body to all of that isn't just difficult, it's extreme. That kind of versatility is seen by many experts as exceptional in professional bodybuilding. Very few athletes can move between divisions without losing competitiveness. Wang didn't just move between them. He showed up conditioned every time, demonstrating total control over his body. In 2025, shortly before his passing, he had recently competed at the China Pro 2025. The show marked another standout moment, with many observers noting clear physical improvements and greater competitive maturity compared to previous seasons. What truly intrigued those who followed his career was the lifestyle behind that physique. Wang often said he lived a true monk's life. Nearly 10 years of a rigid routine, with no shortcuts, no detours, and no exceptions. No parties, no alcohol, no sleepless nights. While many athletes try to balance career, fun, and social life, Wang chose a different path. To him, any distraction was an obstacle. Too much rest felt like guilt. A break felt like falling behind. His body wasn't just a project, it was a daily mission. This became even more evident on symbolic dates. During major celebrations like Chinese New Year, when families come together and the entire country almost comes to a stop, Wang was nowhere near dinner tables or family gatherings. Instead, he chose to be alone in the gym, training like it was just another ordinary day. For some, this was the ultimate image of discipline. For others, it felt like a quiet warning sign. How far does giving up everything count as strength? And at what point does it start becoming a risk? That same extreme simplicity that defined Wang Kuan's lifestyle was also reflected in his diet. His nutrition was known for being basic, rigid, and extremely repetitive, with almost no variation over the years. No fancy meals, no occasional cheat foods, just the essentials every single day. His meals usually revolved around boiled chicken breast, beef with soy sauce, and simple broths. Few ingredients, few choices, and zero negotiation with taste. For Wang, eating wasn't about pleasure, it was about function. He often defended the idea that the simpler the life, the stronger the body becomes. What makes this story even harder to process is that nothing seemed out of place in the days leading up to his death. Wong Kuan was active, focused, and present. He trained as usual, kept his strict routine, and continued sharing everyday moments on social media, just like he always had. On top of that, he was in a phase of personal and professional expansion. Wang was planning to grow beyond the stage, expand his businesses, and open a new gym location. Everything pointed to continuity, future plans, momentum, things in motion. There were no clear signs that something was about to happen. But on December 17th, 2025, everything simply stopped. No warnings, no prior symptoms, no time to react. The news of his passing hit bodybuilding like a bomb, precisely because it came wrapped in an unsettling silence. The preliminary cause released was sudden cardiac failure. There was no accident, no fall, no external event to explain it. Just the unexpected collapse of a body that seemed to be under total control. Wang Kuan didn't live only for the stage. Outside of competition, he was also building his identity as an entrepreneur, someone thinking about the future of bodybuilding beyond trophies and medals. He was the owner of Muscle Factory Gym in his hometown. The space wasn't just a place to train, but a reference point for young athletes, fans, and everyday people who saw Wang as real inspiration. Training there meant being close to someone who had reached the very top. More than just maintaining what he had, Wang was planning to expand. He was about to open a new location in Hefei, a project that represented growth, stability, and long-term vision. That detail makes his death even harder to accept. It wasn't just a sports career that was cut short, it was a life still being built. As soon as Wang Kuan's death was confirmed, a wave of emotion swept through social media. Within hours, athlete profiles, specialized pages, and fans from all over the world began sharing messages of shock and disbelief. The silence was broken by deeply emotional tributes. Fellow athletes, including competitors from other federations and countries, expressed profound sadness. Many highlighted not just Wang's physique, but his discipline, professional attitude, and the respect he earned within the sport. When something like this happens, the public's first reaction is often to look for someone to blame or to rush toward easy explanations. That's why it's important to separate facts from speculation. As of now, there is no official confirmation that Wang Kuan used anabolic steroids or any other banned substances, even though we all understand how this industry works. In bodybuilding, where the human body is constantly pushed to its limits, assumptions come easily. But turning theories into facts without evidence doesn't honor anyone's story. At the same time, Wang Kuan's case reignited debates that many had been quietly ignoring. The death of a young, active, high-level athlete forces the sports world to take a much closer look at cardiovascular health in professional bodybuilding. It also brings the importance of constant medical supervision back to the table. Not just occasional checkups, but real, ongoing, preventive monitoring, especially for athletes living under extreme pressure, rigid diets, and heavy training loads. To understand why stories like this keep happening, you have to look at what science has been warning us about for years. High-level bodybuilding demands extreme adaptations from the body, and the heart, even though it's a strong muscle, doesn't always respond well to that kind of continuous stress. Medical studies show that long-term use of anabolic hormones in professional contexts can cause significant changes to the cardiovascular system. These include abnormal heart enlargement, changes in heart rhythm, and thickening of the heart muscle, factors that greatly increase the risk of sudden cardiac events. On top of that, there are common practices in the sport that, on their own or combined, push that risk even higher. Extreme dehydration, diuretic use, constant max effort stimulation, and intense prep cycles create a level of overload the body can't always handle. And then there's a factor that often gets overlooked: psychological pressure. The constant demand for results, nonstop comparison, and fear of losing performance push many athletes to ignore clear signs of exhaustion. The body keeps responding for a while. In the end, Wong Kuan wasn't just another name on a ranking list. He was someone who truly believed in discipline, sacrifice, and total commitment to the goal. He lived exactly the way he believed was necessary to reach the top. No shortcuts, no compromises, no middle ground. But his story forces us to face a question that goes beyond bodybuilding. How far is too far for a physique? No trophy, no medal, no impressive body is worth more than a life. Wang Kuan's journey shouldn't be remembered only as a tragedy, but as a real warning, a call for awareness and balance. If this story made you reflect in any way, hit the like button now. It really helps the channel keep bringing deep, important content like this. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and if you want to support this work even more, stay connected with us.